Alrighty guys, Rob here back at the off-grid tiny house. I wanted to do, I've never hooked my charge controllers up to power yet. So I wanted to do that. So this is one of my charge controllers. It's a 30 amp PWM. This is the temperature sensor on the top. And what I'm going to do, activate the display on here. What I'm going to do is hook it up to my power pack. You guys seen this before if you've been watching my videos. And basically, I just had to turn that down in the background there. I have the jumper cables hooked up to the end of this thing. So we got the negative and positive separated by my bedroll. And in the instruction manual for the charge controller, it says it wants you to hook a load up first, which I won't do for this experiment, then the battery, then the solar panels, so in that order. So I don't have a load, I'm not hooking up solar panels, I just want to activate the display via the battery, and I won't be running any load. So never do this, guys, with this small amount of wire, this really thin gauge that I'm using. I'm just doing this to activate the display screen on the charge controller so I can get used to it, program it, etc., etc. So don't use this light gauge wire with solar panels or batteries, because you're going to have a ton of resistance, and this wire would get probably so warm that it would burn away and you'd have a nightmare on your hands. So all I'm doing is hooking these two wires up to those jumper cables, and then I can just get this display lit up and play with that. So I got quite a long chunk of wire here that I have some scrap of. This is basically, I guess you could class it as thermostat wire. So what I'm going to do is get on camera here a little better. I'm going to strip out a long length of this stuff so I can separate and run each one to the cable. So I might even go that as long as it's past the bedroll, I shouldn't have any issues. So this is the trick I use. I use a wire stripper. I go to the biggest setting possible. Okay, that one's a little loose, so I go to the next one down, and then pop. You have your wire separated from the insulation. That one got a little frayed a bit, but sometimes that happens. So now I have my positive, and this white for this situation will be the negative. So I'll strip the ends off here. I gotta strip the ends off with side cutters, because these wire strippers don't go, these ones I just used don't go down to really low gauge wire, so no big deal. I just strip those easily. Now I gotta do the other end, and these won't have to be as separated because they actually go really tight close together here on the battery section, so positive and negative right beside each other. So hopefully I can do this with this length of wire, but we'll see, we'll find out. So get in frame for you guys. Wrong hole. Okay. So it took a little bit off again, but nothing's going to be touching it, so it will be fine. Alright. So I'm going to hook it up to the charge controller first. And when I'm stripping these ends for the charge controller, I don't want them very long at all, because you don't want them any bare copper sticking out and possibly shorting between touching. You never want them to touch, so never. Alright, so I'll get down and move the camera in a little closer here, guys. So as you can see, we have the positive on the for the battery, going to the battery, and then we have the negative. So I'm gonna hook up the red wire. I already opened the channel up for the wires, so the red one's in there. Now I gotta set this down so I can hold the wire in with my thumb, and while I screw this down, that way it gets a good hold. Whoops, blocking the camera. Good hold on the wire, because you don't want these guys to move anywhere. So I'm going to give this a quick tug. Okay, that one's good. So now the white wire, which is going to act as my negative, goes beside it. And I got to kind of keep pressure towards it because it wants to move and pop out. And then I will okay, so you guys see that properly? Here, I'll move the box. So they're both tight, they're separated. Hopefully you can see that. Yep. Alrighty, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to set the charge controller here. I'm going to spool out, I got a ton of wire here, guys, so I can kind of get, I can get these moved way out. And now, I'm going to attach the negative first to the, actually what I'll do, you guys see this properly? Okay, I'm going to tuck this wire under the bedroll. Whoops. Wire does not want to cooperate. It's always in a spool, so it wants to go back to its original held position. Okay, so I think that's as good as we're going to be able to get it. So right now I have the white wire sticking under the bedroll going to the negative, and then I have, you guys can see maybe, I can't see on the viewfinder of this camera, there is the red for the positive. So I'm going to hook the negative up first, and I'll try to get all this on camera and get this to show up as it pops up, and we'll go from there. So I've never done this. We'll see if it works. I will okay, we got copper contact there. Nothing on the display yet. Now I'm probably going to get a spark. You always seem to get sparks when you do this damn thing. So kind of weary doing this with low gauge wire, but hopefully I can manage to do it quick. Okay, my display popped up and no spark. Thank God. I don't like sparks. Okay, so this is the very first time I've seen my charge controller on, and that's pretty cool. So it's reading 13 volts in the battery, and that's the battery pack over there, guys. That orange thing. You guys probably seen me use it multiple times in earlier videos at the tiny house. There's a smiley face on the battery saying it's happy. There's a solar panel And it has an arrow, empty arrow, which means there's no solar power coming in because I don't have anything hooked up, of course. And it says the load is on, but I'm going to shut that off and see how the black thing disappeared on the load side here. So if I click load on again, it turns the load on to this section, but there's nothing there, so I'm shutting that off. So this is pretty neat, guys. So it looks like the battery, there's a bar chart for the battery, and it says it's just about full. It's one bar down from being full. So this is kind of neat. Now I got to learn how to go through all the modes here. So I'm going to click on, there's this button here, and this goes through the modes. So it says it's reading 22 Celsius in the room temperature right now. It says I have 0 amps coming in from the solar, which makes sense because there's nothing attached to this right now. Okay, it says 0 amps to my load, which makes sense because I don't have a load. And it shows the amp hours, total amp hours that my solar panel would be putting out. So right now 0, of course. And then load amp hours. Cool. Now PV off, 13.7 volt. Load on, 12.6 volt. Load off, 10.5 or 10.7 volt. So this is where I'm going to have to start changing stuff. Oh, and here's a timer. You can set, this is really neat with these charge controllers. The load side, you can put a certain amount of hours this activates for per day. And then it just went back to the main screen. But, yeah, I'm going to go back to that screen. Catch back up to it. So we back to the 24 hours. Yep, so it means it will run continuous. Click it again, back to the main screen. Okay, so what I want to do, I'm getting a lot of help from you guys on YouTube. And a special shout out to High Tech Guy 18 Stu. He's helping me with a lot of the solar. So now when I hook this up, he recommends that the low voltage disconnect protection setting for my batteries should be 11 volts. That's when all the loads shut off, and you got to give this time to recharge, man, because if I drain them down that badly, then there's an issue. So this kind of stops that from happening. So when the battery voltage is lower than protection voltage, the controller will disconnect the load circuit to prevent battery over discharge. So if you're discharging the battery way too much, then you got to stop that. So long press the button for 5 seconds. Numbers start flashing that has entered the LVD setup. Use to adjust the parameter. Okay, so 5 seconds. I will try this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I don't think it happened yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I don't think... Alright. Long press the button 5 seconds in this interface. Oh, I have to be in the load off section. No wonder. Okay. Let's get there. So, menu, load, load on, load off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Load on. That's the, I don't need that setting. Okay, I think I can just do this my way instead of using the book. So load on 12.6, load off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope. Okay, so I'm gonna have to play with this a bit, guys. Sorry about that. But like I say, I'm just learning. This is the first time I've used it. So load off. So I can't change this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or until it starts flashing. Let's see if it does that. There. Okay. So I want to get up to 11 volts. That's what he said. So we'll lock that in. I'll hit the button again. And then we'll go check it. Perfect. So we'll go to okay, load off. It saved it. So when it hits 11 volts, it'll shut everything down except for the solar panel charging the batteries, which is smart. I don't want to damage my batteries or even drain them this low, but this is a preventative measure just in case. So my load, the high voltage discharge, I don't want to overcharge the batteries. He recommends 14 volts. So I'm going to go to that now that I know how to do that. So I got to go to the, what does it say here? It says, I think it's load on. Long press 5 seconds at the interface. Okay, so I think the load on section is what I'm looking for. And I want to hold this for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until it starts flashing. And then I want to bump this up. Oops, wrong direction. To 14 volts, he says, is okay. Oops. Oh, it won't go any higher than 13.4. Where's the max for this? Okay. So now I'm going to check everything, guys. So load off's 11, what we set. Then I'll go back to the load on. And it should say, okay, 13.4 is the max that this thing will allow me to set it. So it's pretty close. It's not too bad. It's 0.5, 0.6 of a section. But this is pretty cool because this is the first time me at the off-grid tiny house is messing around with the solar. I got to get really used to all this stuff, and I'm getting there now with this video, so this is awesome. So okay, so for now, guys, I think I set this up pretty nicely, and I'm loving it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just leave this, and now I'm going to disconnect I think I'm going to disconnect the positive first this time. And then I'll be good to go. So that was kind of easy, which is good. I want to do this carefully so I don't get too many sparks. So that one's disconnected. I lost power here, which is normal. And I disconnected that guy, so perfect. So the charge controller is disconnected. And now that I know I've been playing with it for a bit, I'm good to go. So that's, oh, Jesus. I don't need wires bouncing back there. So I'm going to disconnect the charge controller now, guys. Or the wires from the charge controller. And that was cool, because that's the very first time I've done that. And now I can actually take this wire, take the power pack over to the tiny house, and set up each of my charge controllers that's already mounted in there, and then they're good to go. So that's pretty awesome, I think. Now I got to disconnect this from the charge controller because I don't want those touching the jumper wires. But that's it for now, guys, for this video. Or yeah, whatever. But I'll disconnect that, and then I'll show you this this other stuff I got going on over here. So just give me a second. And I will pull the jumper cables carefully, and then we'll be safe. Ooh. Man, those things are in there. Okay, so that's disconnected safely. So these can touch now, no big deal. And then I'm going to show you guys some stuff over here. That I got some stuff in the mail, and then I'll show you what's going on over here. But for now, I'll be back.